Hi, Sharkey instructors, Orit here. Now, before I get all negative, here's a positive. 99% of the people you teach are going to be such a pleasure to teach for. But then there's that 1%, that gets upset, that's distracting, that's uncooperative. You know who I mean, right? Well, I call these people class fools. And in this video, I'm going to share with you two stories and how I dealt with these people. One with class, and one with a swift kick in the ass. So, first story. As you know, I've been teaching for over 20 years, right? And the facilities that I teach at, they usually state on their schedule or on their online schedule what type of class it is, whether it's a belly dance technique class or Sharkey workout class. And most of the time, the levels are stated on the schedule, right? So sometimes you'll have somebody who comes in and you can clearly see that they're kind of unhappy and it's not a class that they expected. So I politely say to them, hey, this is the type of class it is, and here, this is the level. I'll even show them a schedule if I have one on hand, the level and the description of the class. In most cases, they say, oh, I'm sorry, my bad, I made a mistake. And they usually stay for the class. Well, that's awesome, because that would be your ideal situation. Now, but there is that 1% that come in that demand a refund, and even demand a refund after they've stayed for more than half the class. You heard it right, more than half the class. Now, instead of asking nicely for a refund, they make demands. Instead of explaining why I should make an exception for them, they threaten. Now, if you talk to other business owners or even teachers, right, they usually tell you, just give them a refund and be done with them. That'd be the easiest way to deal with it. True, I agree. But sometimes it's not about the money. It's not about the headache. It's about the principle. It's about upholding to the facility's policies and your right as a teacher, right? So how did I deal with it? I just gave her a refund. Because you know what I realized? It's not about me. It's about her. All right, second story. So I had this woman come in and she insisted on being in the front of the class, doing her own movement and not following my instruction. Fine. So I went over to her and I politely and quietly said, hey, that's awesome that you're being creative, but I invite you to be with the class today. She responded, well, that's not how my belly dance teacher taught me. So I said, well, this is a different style. And if you'd like to continue doing your own movement, then I encourage you to move to the back of the class as it's distracting to the other students. She didn't answer, but I had to continue teaching my own class, right? But I noticed she was still doing the same thing for another 10 minutes, still doing her own movement, right? And insisted on being in the front of the class. Well, I found this incredibly disrespectful to my students and to myself, even after asking her to move to the back of the class or being with the class. So I went over to her again. I said, look, if you're not going to move to the back of the class or be with the class today, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. She said no. Well, I can't stand for that. So I went to the manager and the manager escorted her out of the room. Bye-bye. Look, it's not my style to have people escorted because I want everyone to be happy, but I care about my students, right? But sometimes, though, there's consequence with that. Now, we live in a very interesting world, a world of social media, right? And people go to social media sometimes to hold companies and people accountable and complain, right? But the problem is, people don't go to social media because they've been wronged. They go to social media because they don't get their way. And that's just sometimes so frustrating, you know? Now, don't get me wrong. Now, the possibility of being criticized on social media does not dictate how I react to these situations. But what I'm saying is, choose wisely, yes? Choose the best way to react based on that situation, right? Now, was I criticized on social media? Absolutely. Now, was it worth it? Absolutely, because I care about my students. Now, I want to hear from you, and I want you to share back. How do you deal with class fools? All right, leave a comment below. Instruct and inspire. Peace.